Hello, I'm rolling tape, by the way. Talk amongst yourselves. I need to get my iPad.
All right, let's roll. Dennis, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good, man. Good. Let's see. Spice it up for the Patreon supporters here. I like your blue shirt. Are we wearing the exact same shirt with the pocket right
if
there?
I could see you, I'd let you know.
Oh, you can't see, dude. We're shirt twins right now.
I got a pocket. So
I got the pocket too.
You got the pocket too?
Yep. Yeah, wild.
This is the sport material, so it's nice and soft. It's not cloth or cotton. It's more of a polyester, smooth, stain resistant type thing.
Gotcha. Is it tagless?
Yes. Oh, I have to go tagless. I can't do tags anymore. I'm done with those.
Yeah, tags are for statists.
Once they came out with, hey, we could do these without tags. I'm like, well, why would I buy anything else?
Yeah, that's just an upgrade.
It's a selling point right there. It's the only thing I look for.
Kaboom.
So we were supposed to be talking about Mueller tonight, but stuff happened Sunday, so I don't know if any of that's going to bleed through.
What happened Sunday?
Easter? Boom?
Oh. I mean, I'll talk about that too, I guess.
I don't know if it'll even come up. I'm just saying. It might be something.
I don't know. The Easter Bunny's not answering my prayers in the way the left thinks he answers prayers, so it's unfortunate. It is. No, it's sad. It's yeah. I don't know. It's sad because they're still like kind of unwrapping the whole thing, so I don't know how much I can lend to that. Maybe I should do some quick searching right now.
Do you have this plugged into a cop button?
Yeah.
Or is that one? Okay.
Maybe unplugged because it was causing a little noise.
Okay. That's fine. I'll just try to pay attention.
You can, instead of just pointing, how about I fix it? Okay, so wherever this leads to.
Follow it.
Yeah, no, it's sad stuff, but I don't know. Miller's. The thing is, the only reason I was even butt in here is just because I actually, and I'm sure you too, but actually read everything for the Miller thing. So I was like, oh, I can actually be like an informed person.
I read.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't read 448 pages. I will give you that. I haven't read every single word of the document.
Sam. It seems like Sam did though. I don't know if you saw. How is there no battery on this? I charged this yesterday.
Oh, Sam Schultz's notes are awesome.
My life is terrible and awful and wonderful at the same time. I'm mildly.
When we're complaining about our tablets not having enough.
I'm mildly inconvenienced.
Wireless power.
I'm genuinely mildly inconvenienced in a very small way and I may not even be inconvenienced, and I'm mad. I don't know what it is. In the last 2 days, I'm on my man period. Do you guys have a man period?
Not really.
Oh man.
You don't have like 1 day a month where you're just like such a bitch?
I get them from time to time, but it's usually just stress that pushes me over the edge.
I am just difficult and moody and awful and like...
If I ever have unsalted fries... You've never seen someone so I'll go full Karen. I'll drive back around. Yeah. It's honestly here's the thing. I've been through a really hard divorce. I've lost some family members. I've had some really hard things in my life, but I've not gone through anything that makes me as disappointed as an unsalted French fry. So.
My thing is being sprayed with like having someone's perfume or like a scent of some sort sprayed on me makes me irrationally upset.
So when you walk into the store and they're like, hey,
obsession. I got sprayed one time with one of those perfume misters and I lost my shit. I mean, I literally just went nuts. It's more of some things are going on today that are bothering me more than they probably should. And like even just like now, like I can't get my notes, and like I think you just get like I think guys hormonally have a few days out of the month where they're just out of whack. You know,
walking through a bad cologne cloud is like walking through a misty fart, and you can't convince me otherwise. Like I will fully reenact a Mortal Kombat scene if that happens to me. So I understand.
I was the smelly kid in school.
Okay.
And so now I'm so hyper conscious about how I smell that if I feel like I need to go take a shower, it upsets me. I get mad.
I would also be upset.
Thank you, Hodey.
Yeah.
This is why I like
what is your preferred scent? Here, while we're offering bonus, this will be fun for everybody. What do you smell like? What's your favorite scent?
I don't think I smell like anything. I just sort of smell like I've always been told I smell like fabric softener.
Okay.
So I don't have a smell. I used to wear I was never like a cologne person. I did have a nice Jovan de Musk NRG that I bought at Walmart in high school. You know, that was I think in high school you always have that scent. You know, like I've got my Axe body spray on today. I'm feeling good.
When I was growing up, it was Avon because it's just all you had.
Yeah, back in the 50s.
Sneak Avon from your dad or something.
What flavor?
High karate. But I was always a big fan of Stetson, and they used to have a Stetson body spray that was great.
Really?
You know, the shower, you throw this body spray on, and then they discontinued the body spray. You can't get it anywhere.
The nerve.
I can't believe that.
The Jovan Musk, you can't get that anymore either.
I actually have some Jovan Musk sitting at home in my medicine cabinet. It's about that much left in it. And it's like either that or I go with the Stetson, and I just pull the Stetson out usually.
Yeah. I also used to wear Brute in middle school. You know, so Hodey, what's your preferred scent?
So I like the if I'm just going plain like for work, and I'm not trying to offend the senses, I just like the Old Spice, the Tahiti one is good. Mm-hmm. And then I really like the Axe Anarchy if I'm trying to, and I know that's fitting.
You're such a
suck
up.
Yeah. No, I like it. That is a good smell. I used to wear the Kilo before that, but I feel like the Anarchy's got it edged just a little bit.
I like cool water, but it's a little expensive.
Cool water?
Yeah.
Cool water?
But I know that at one point, my first wife was always telling me how much she likes Polo. Mm-hmm. So I put some Polo on, and apparently on me, it smells like dead roadkill. So
that's like some of the synthetic pheromones that are in this stuff. Like my tongue will swell, and I've sort of said this to Miranda. Like, Miranda, please don't wear your perfume around me because when you do, my tongue starts to swell, and I feel attacked by it. It's a perfectly nice scent, but it does something to my tongue. Like I'm allergic to it almost. And I think it's like the synthetic pheromones or estrogen or whatever they put in this stuff. Testosterone, I'm not sure. I'm too high T for that. I can't take it.
Yeah, if your body chemistry just isn't matching up with it, it'll change how it smells to something that's not pleasant.
Yeah. I don't mind the natural human smell. I think I even think that sometimes like a little sweat smells good, but then when you're like really getting gross, that's when things are like, oh man, you need some deodorant for those waterfalls, bro.
Right.
Well, what about for what women wear? What do you like?
Okay. And this is probably deeply rooted psychologically. So I didn't like kiss anybody until I was in college.
Nerd.
Yeah, no, that I cannot deny any of that. I spent a good amount of time
100%
shoved
the
in
exact
lockers.
opposite.
Dude, I can't fault you. It's a miracle that I kissed anybody before I graduated high school. It was 10th grade, and man,
poor girl. I was messing around with a girl. I don't even talk about.
I don't want to talk about your history. You've told me your history, and it makes me profoundly uncomfortable.
Oh, Dennis Juan.
Yes, that's exactly right.
She was wearing The Love
Long
Spell
time
by
ago.
Victoria's Secret, and that is so that to me is still my number one preference.
I'll tell you what, along those lines too, is there was a Victoria's Secret like fruity body lotion that all the girls wore. Like the most attractive girls in our class always wore it, and I was like, and my girlfriend wore it, and so I bet if I smelled that, I'd be just done for.
Yeah.
Oh, mine. The one I like the most is usually called out as being bad for men to like, but that's Love's Baby Soft.
Love's Baby Soft.
Yeah.
The fuck is that?
It's usually something that
Is that a baby wipe?
teenage girls first start wearing. You know, it's like their first type of fragrance that they wear.
All right. Then.
Should I call the police?
No, that's what I'm saying. That sounds bad,
What
but
are
I
you-
know adult women who wear it, and I like the smell of it. I'm not going around the high schools.
What are you, an
trying
ANCAP
to pick up women?
Are you an ANCAP running for president?
I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not the manager of Arvin's campaign.
Hodey, do we want to have a team meeting before we get started about Ben Leader? Do you want to talk about that? And
Well, now the Patreons can hear us right now, but I
Yeah.
guess I don't mind them, right?
because here's my thing, I'm not going to tell you what to do. It is my network, and it is perfectly within my right to say I don't want Ben Leader on my network. But I'm not going to do that to you because I respect you and your work, and I think it should be your decision. But every time I've seen like 4 things about this Ben Leader guy running for president that are profoundly creepy in just this past week. And I don't know much about him other than what I've heard, through what you've done, but then some screenshots, and Dennis kind of keeps up with stuff. And I think there's a challenge when you're doing this, but like if we were to limit Ben Leader, then you go, well, why should Adam Kokesh or Arvin Vora or a couple of these other guys be allowed to participate too? Like, of the current crop, in my mind, Kim Ruff is the only one that's even remotely like, I wouldn't be embarrassed by Kim Ruff. Like everybody else, I'd be like, take the fucking hats off. Like you're embarrassing yourself in the LP. Sorry, the opinions of Chris Spangle are not those of Hodey Johns. I know you're trying to work with them, but this is for patrons, and I think most of our patrons probably agree with that assessment of the current crop of libertarian candidates. But I'm challenged by the fact that there's a guy running for president that has had some very serious allegations of domestic violence. Clearly, his response to it has been less than graceful. I don't know what else has there.
Swatting that he's done
He's called in SWAT teams on people.
or threatened to.
Well, that's crazy.
Well, do you remember?
well,
do you,
I guess
do you remember
here,
the whole
let's-
thing that happened when Joshua was running for office?
Joshua Smith ran
Yeah.
for chair, and
So-
had baggage.
And then, then there was this incident that came out where Angela Fisher heard a rumor from Tanisha Pascal
Okay.
that he had been kind of untoward towards her, right?
Okay.
So she went to him directly and said, "Hey, what about this?" Now she was the manager of Alicia Dern's campaign at the time. So Joshua heard that, she went to Joshua. Joshua freaked out because he's like, "I didn't do anything. She says I did. This is bull, blah, blah, blah." Right. So it kind of blew up. But the whole point of the thing is that the reason why he was upset was because the person who was doing it was the other person who was there, which was Ben Leader.
Okay. So that's one. That's Desiree Lindsay. She's very public. I don't mind saying her name because she'll say it.
Yeah, and David Ballantyne's going off with all his
Well, and
evidence.
so David put most of this together, which is why it's become recent.
Right, it's recent. I
Again.
unfriended Benjamin Leader back when all of that happened with
In fairness to Benjamin, it is pronounced letter.
Letter. Okay,
You're good.
but that's when I did because I was friends with him. Facebook friends, blah blah blah. I don't know when I ever met him or anything. But when that happened, I kind of went, this guy, and I went and looked at his page and some of the things he was saying. I'm like, I don't want this. So I unfriended. That was back in 2018,
Right.
beginning of the year. So this isn't exactly surprising to me. And I've heard that screenshot of April's that I've seen that one before. I've
Amelia
seen
Flowers.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll just read it since we're talking about it. Why beat around the bush? It's 6:17 a.m. I've been sobbing for hours. I tried to resign from my company tonight. I know I'm going to owe a lot of money, but I would rather be a homeless person for the rest of my life than spend another moment in Texas. I have a horrible, narcissistic, sociopathic ex named Benjamin Letter. I was with him for 3 years, and then he turned extremely violent towards me. After that, I tried to escape and many times failed. I'd be kidnapped and held hostage. I'd behave for several months until I could jet again. For a decade, my entire 20s, he choked me into unconsciousness dozens of times, kidnapped me from hundreds of miles away, held me hostage for weeks at a time in horrible rundown places, and beaten me with a sack of apples, raped me into a pregnancy, and then tortured me into a miscarriage several times, who used to sleep deprive me and yell, scream, and belittle me. This absolute torture occurred for years and years. She then goes on to explain the beginning where she said she can't resign from the company because he had her signed to be part of this company that went under, and so now she owes money and can't get out of it. Obviously, those are about the worst accusations that we've had against any candidate, and you can even include the mainstream candidates at this point, right? So that's awful. He has responded to say it's hashtag fake news was his words.
I think the apples thing, didn't he say that she was beating him with the bag of apples?
Correct.
And they were
so
hitting
the police
her.
report there, yeah, you're right, was he said she was trying to beat him with the apples, but she missed him and hit herself, and that's why she had bruises all over her. So that's ugly. And then attached to that post is probably something that's even more condemning. I mean, that now the allegations aren't that bad, but there's voicemails attached to it where he's basically being Kokesh level of threatening. I think everybody knows what I mean when I say Kokesh level of threatening, threatening swatting, threatening violence, threatening, that just nasty things to say to people. And I've heard him. I would say they're probably his voice, but I obviously am not like a master voice person. I just am going with what I know.
You're not
I'm
an expert in voice recognition.
There it is. I'm not the part of the forensics block.
I'm not a master voice person.
You hear my nasally voice.
I don't do all the voices.
I do my best not to listen.
Let's be
We need
honest.
to get John Kassir in here.
Here's the thing. You never know if somebody like this lady is telling the truth, but obviously the video or the audio messages and a lot of it, and he just you have an issue here.
If it was just like one thing,
right?
Then, maybe we could blame misunderstanding something. But when it's constant and it's multiple things, and there's voicemails and there's his behavior trying to defend it, which is really questionable.
Odd. Yeah. It's not like Arvin, where Arvin has some beliefs that I think would not be mainstream if he were the candidate. Well, this guy has some accusations that are seriously troubling. Similar to kind of Kokesh, where Kokesh has some behaviors in the past that are troubling to say the least. And we had this here in Indiana, if you could listen to some of the 2016 shows, where we had a guy running for governor who had been arrested for domestic violence with 2 different wives, 10 years apart. He'd taken diversion programs. He didn't fight it in court. I mean, it was pretty clear. I had seen video of it taking place, so it wasn't disputable. The abuse actually happened, but he was a very impressive man and would have been a very good candidate. But when you go and talk to the Republican state party and your friend who's the political director says, yeah, I've already got the commercial with his mugshot written in my desk, and it's April of the election year. You go, well, we just can't have this guy as our candidate. Yeah. They're not going to take any chances, and our margins are so slim. And so I guess I don't understand what it is about, and I talked with the podcast about why I don't call myself an anarchist that was in the daily feed with Trisha. I don't call myself an anarchist because I just find the behavior of most anarchists to be so abysmal. I mean, Hodey went on with Larkin Rose to debate voting, and the abuse that Hodey had to suffer after that was ridiculous, to the point that when Trisha asked me to debate Larkin Rose, I said, no. She's like, well, why don't you want to build bridges? I said, I just don't have time to sit there and have my employer field phone calls from psychologically disturbed people. I just don't need that in my life, and so I'm not really willing to engage the anarchist community because they don't police their own. And I don't know what it is about the black and yellow crowd that it always somehow ends up with, wife beating, child molestation. Like there's something about that group of that wing of our movement that has some serious issues that they just can't. Like
it's a lot of antisocial behavior, and the reason they're drawn to the anarchism is because they think they can be accepted with their antisocial behavior. Nobody's going to bug them.
I'm talking about 5% of that population. I mean, I'm not talking about the mass of it. But I need to take this phone call. You guys, Hodey, I'm sure wants to respond.
Sure.
Sure he does. Go for it.
Well, I mean, I guess I'll talk about. I want his input on the Ben Letter stuff, and I'll explain when he's back exactly what my head's going through there. As far as the policing their own thing, I am friends with David, who broke this, and Nick, and they are two of the big policers of that community. They don't consider themselves black and yellows; they're black and grays. You know, they're the full the agorists, I guess, and. I believe I'm an agorist as well, but I'm also I do consider myself a capitalist.
It's all minor semantic stuff at that level. You know, it's not that much of a swing one way or the other. People most likely swing back and forth between a lot of those thoughts over the years. You know,
holding up, and this does bleed into the Ben Letter thing. Holding up any ideal is necessarily your God can get you into a lot of trouble when you allow it to disable your reason. And to say that, well, now's the time when I might question, to say, well, I didn't allow myself to question. I made a rule at the beginning that I wouldn't question. It's probably a bad rule. And that's kind of the situation that I got myself into.
Yeah. I mean, but you understand where you're coming from, is trying to say, hey, we're going to just give everybody their shot. They're going to let them talk, let them defend themselves. And I mean, that's where you're kind of sitting there is, do I let him back on the air to defend this? And then let it become the focus of the debate instead of the issues being the focus of the debate at that point.
Yeah. Well, the debates, I mean, the way I've structured the debates, there's no room for any of those questions. They're all issue-based questions.
But I've been in debates and watched those debates before, and people will come up and throw some shade at the other person in a certain way, answering a question, and it causes issues. It's hard to manage that stuff. And
sure, if you can fit it in. So yeah, and it could hypothetically happen. I don't necessarily see it happening with the group I have. To be honest with you, 98% chance. It's just I could treat it as a non-issue, and it would not become an issue. And I know that.
Well, and the other thing too is how well known is this at this point? Even though Dave has brought it up and it's been kind of floating around in some of the social media circles, how many people really pay attention to the inter-party gossip and stuff like that?
Not much. That's why this is on the Patreon section.
Yeah. I mean, if he was polling, I mean, he'd be probably dead last. He lost to Noda, none of the above vote just a few months ago. So I mean, we're not talking about somebody who is likely in real contention for taking the Libertarian Party nomination.
Right, so, and that's the concern too, though, is that the longer you have him in those, just like we had James Weeks on the. At the convention, we don't want to. You kind of want to make sure you don't give somebody enough of a platform that they can embarrass the party as a whole at some point.
Yeah, I mean, the party's the party. I mean, frankly, we have more embarrassing people than even Ben Letter in it at this point. But
we do. Like, name names, because I can't fathom who it might be compared to this guy. I mean,
Ben is. Oh my gosh, Ben's oatmeal boring, and so he doesn't he's just got no zest. Right. At this point, our loudmouths, our Cantwells, are much more problematic.
See, I wouldn't even associate him with the Libertarian Party.
Anymore, no. I mean, he got punched out and kicked out of
he got punched back into the Republican Party. Yeah.
So, Chris, I saved this part for you because I feel like you need to hear. Here's the problems that I have. One is I set up a rule right off the bat. I'm just not going to look into it. If I'm being frank, yes, I probably believe the charges against Ben. I don't care for him. I don't like Kokesh either. I don't like them. I think they're bad people. From what I have heard, I don't like it. Now, even if the charges aren't true, me personally, I just hate bullies. And so when I hear somebody bullying somebody else, it irritates me, because this is something that I've struggled with at every job, because I'm a yes man and I have a problem staying there because I say yes and yes and yes and get abused finally stand up for myself, and then there's some blow up and then some big problem. And so and it's happened to me in relationships before. I'm bullying fodder. I did not develop good tactics for how to deal with it.
Looking forward to our 2020, Hodey. Looking forward to next year.
I'm looking, and I know that is my fault. Obviously, bullies should take responsibility for what they're doing, but as me as a person, for continually letting it happen, I need to develop tools. I haven't developed it. I admit it, and I know. And it's something that I'm working on, and I really
I had a similar situation, and it took me a long time. It's not something you just get over with when you're 18, you get out of high school, and you're like, I'm good now.
Yeah, it depends on your emotional health.
It sits inside you in ways you don't understand until they pop out, and you go, oh, that's why I'm doing that.
I'm probably going to kill this guy.
So you gotta be careful with that, because it will pop up, and you have to really root in and look at those things.
All right, so
I have releases. Yeah.
But Hodey, what's your final answer?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know right now. I'm still grappling with it.
Well, listen, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with you saying Spangle doesn't want you on the network and being the bad guy. I mean,
see, that's not it. I mean, this is a guy I'd look forward to being a bad guy towards. I mean, I have people rooting for it. I lost a lot of friends when I brought Kokesh on, and they made a huge problem about it. And I know, Dennis, you saw that people spread pictures of me around being like, this guy's going to associate with a violent statist who we all hate. And here he is. He's decided to give him his platform. And I already paid the price for it. The thing is I made a rule that I was just not going to look into it, because it's not a thread that I personally like pulling. This isn't like some rule that somebody else made for me. I did it for my own safety. I just don't like trying to dig into people's garbage and deciding if it's enough garbage at some point, because I don't know where that thread is.
Right, but that's a real problem, in my opinion, on libertarianism, is that if we go down that road where we're like, we're not going to call out people when they're doing things we think are wrong, how are we to police ourselves as a society when we don't have the laws and rules and everything else that are forcing those things to happen in the society, right? So we're not going to have these rules and what you can say, what you can't say, that sort of thing. But the response is, okay, that'll police itself because people won't go into their business or they won't associate with these people. Well, shouldn't we be living that today? That if this person is somebody who you do not want to associate with, at what point do you say, I'm not going to associate with them, and pull that string?
And that's the second dog in this fight, is to say, well, I made the rule. So it's a voluntary rule. I ruled it for myself. I'm only breaking my own trust by breaking the rule.
You're also maybe changing your mind, which isn't a bad thing to do either.
Right. Yeah. And it's something that I probably, I wish I had done it differently right off the bat and saved myself the heartache, because it's sad to lose friends over interviewing Kokesh. When I don't like Kokesh.
Honestly, I
lose friends.
Let me ask you this. What friends did you lose that were meaningful in your life?
None.
Because here's
Just
the thing.
Facebook
Criticism from a bunch of stupid people that can't handle intellectual diversity, like those people you don't want those people as your friend, frankly. Like, to me, that is nonsense that you would stop talking to somebody, because I have, throughout the history of this podcast, criticized Adam Kokesh. I have episode 47. We talk about Adam Kokesh's protests way back in 2013. I mean, Adam has been a person that I have watched the entirety of my libertarian career. And I don't agree with his tactics. I think like his press guy, Marcus, was a really great guy, almost convinced me to have Adam on and have a conversation with him. But then Adam's behavior 2 or 3 times after that initial conversation last year changed my mind. And I told Marcus, I said, listen, man, maybe Hodey will interview him or maybe Brian will interview him, but I'm just not interested in promoting this guy personally. I'm not going to say he's not welcome on the network, but I just don't find Adam Kokesh to be a person that we ought to be promoting. But he's a person that people listen to. He's going to be somebody that people will want to vote for or not vote for, and they ought to have the information to make up their own minds, even though I've made up my own. And so... But at the same time, like, new information comes to light, and sometimes you just go, you know what? You're just a total zero. Like, Kokesh has managed to make a career of all this, And if somebody like Letter is not going to, if they're not going to play a role, if they're just getting attention for their own broken reasons or whatever, then you can change your mind. I feel like you're more than welcome to change your mind. And I think that if anybody says, well, I'm not going to talk to you because you're promoting X, you're promoting this, like, you're promoting the value of open dialogue more than you're promoting Adam Kokesh or Ben Letter. And so those people who are critical of you, sometimes you kind of, as a person who's newer to some of this on this stage, I've had the benefit of working my way up to this level of attention over 15 years, and so I kind of worked out my thick skin on 1,500 people listening to me on a radio station, which is nothing. Nobody's listening to that station, basically. You're kind of newer, I think, in some respects to the attention that you get, and it feels a little sharper. But I can tell you, as your big brother, anybody that doesn't want to be your friend because you're open to giving people information, that person's not your friend. They're absolutely moronic. And you should tell them, well, then you're just a moron and I don't want to be your friend anyways. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't... I have this conversation with our friend Trisha Stewart a lot. Why are you doing what you're doing if it's causing you this much of a problem? Like, it's not like Reinhold here, who just relishes being banned from groups and being hated by people like Joshua Smith and Adam Kokesh. I'm not built like Reinhold. I'm built like Hodey, where I want everybody to like me and I want to get along with everybody. But at the same time, like, if you have an opinion or if you stick your head out of the hole, somebody with a big hammer is going to try and hit you. And you just have to be prepared for it. And you have to go, is this a reasonable, rational thing? Like, the thing I'm dealing with today, like, all right, I have feelings about this, but am I correct or not? Like, is this a big deal? Is this just my pride? Is this my ego? And so you have to kind of step back and evaluate stuff. And I can tell you, like, anybody that doesn't like you because you had Adam Kokesh on a debate doesn't understand what we're trying to do here. And so fuck them.
Yeah, that's about my sentiments towards those people. I
Stop calling everybody your friend, by the way. Not everybody's
Really?
your friend. I'm your friend. Dennis is your friend. Sarah Brady Wagner's your friend. These people are not your friend. You need less friends in your life. That'll help you. That's my friendly advice to you. Be friends with less
Those are
people.
acquaintances.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I just need to, batten down the hatches. I think, and one of the things that Dale says like, hey, it just sounds like if it were, he recommended the same thing you did, like, just be true to yourself.
Yeah.
Do what you want to do.
So don't try to hold yourself to arbitrary rules that you created to begin with. If you get new information and you've changed your mind over the,
And that's exactly it. I
crazy.
think if the rule is like, I just don't like it and I don't feel good about it, that should be good enough because it's my show and I should be able
That's
to
exactly
tell you
right.
to F yourself.
That's at the end of the day, Hodey, you, like, I do this because I have something to say. I have to be true to what I want to talk about. Sometimes if I don't feel like I have anything to say, I'm just not going to be here. Like next week we will be off because I'm out of gas a little bit, and so you go, I'm going to talk about the things that I find interesting, and I've had to learn over time with this. Do I craft a show that libertarians like, or do I craft a show that I enjoy doing? And I found that We Are Libertarians has attracted a different kind of libertarian because I do the show I enjoy doing. Mm-hmm. And the way that I discern that is by, my therapist once said, your heart and your head will always lie to you, but your gut is never wrong. That intuition, that deep set human instinct for danger or discomfort, like, listen to what your gut is telling you, what your sense is telling you, for religious people, what the Holy Spirit may be prompting you to do, that deep voice within yourself that's telling you what you ought to do or ought not to do, that your conscience, like, that is really important. But it's easy to kind of doubt yourself on stuff.
Well, it's an interesting thing I just saw yesterday. Is a show where they were talking about what we think of as consciousness is not really what really is. So you have this notion that you're kind of gaining all this information, you're processing it, and that you're seeing everything as one thing.
Right.
But you're getting information from different places, and it's pieced together in a way that it's a big mishmash. And the fact that we perceive it the way we do is just our brains kind of processing it that way. Right. So you're getting information, and you're not knowing what to do. They did a study where this guy couldn't see out of his right eye. but he was still getting input into it somehow. So they asked him to draw, and he would draw a rabbit because they had in his peripheral vision on his right eye a picture of a rabbit, and he didn't know that because he couldn't see it.
Right.
But his brain was still telling it was there. So he doesn't know why he's doing that. He's confused by it, but he's basically drawing
information is going to his brain.
So he's getting this, and that's the thing about how we, what you say is a gut feeling or things like that. Those are key things that you're picking up that you're not conscious of, that you're getting information for. Past experiences lead into that. Subconscious stuff builds into that. And there's things that, sometimes you're bad at, they're wrong. You need to deal with them in therapy. You're responding to something in a wrong way, maybe, but you're still getting into that information, and it's still valid. You can't just say, it's not worth anything, because it's information you should be listening to. The
other thing that I do is I just say, gun to my head, what would I do if I had a gun to my head and I had to make a split-second decision? And I feel like you don't want Ben on these debates anymore. You're resisting it for some reason, for a million different doubts. But like, gun to your head, you go, I just don't want to do this anymore. I've got things like that in my life too, where I'm like, I've committed to this. I'm doing this. I don't want to be doing this, but I made this commitment. But in my heart, I know this is not the right thing for me to be doing. Like, I don't know.
Try to convince yourself that you need to be doing something that you don't feel comfortable doing.
But Hodey, I think the main problem is that Dale Melchin is your life coach.
We need to have an intervention.
Yeah, we're really here to talk to you about having Dale as a life coach. That's why you're so backwards.
All right, give me criticism with Dale, because I love Dale to death. You love why not? Why not Dale? Hit me.
Listen, Dale is. I have nothing bad to say about Dale. It's just funny to pick on him. He's not a fan of your mom jokes, which honestly, I thought we were all joking. He's jokey, and then you joke back, and then he's like, "Not cool, dude." And so I felt bad the other day because he was like, "Don't make fun of my mom, man." I'm like, "Oh, he's joking," and so I said, "That's why it took me." Don't make your mom. Nah, I shouldn't say this, but anyways, I should stop now. Dale say I had a really good comeback, but Dale asked me not to, and I'm not going to. But
I think part of it is that he's trying to feel his way around a few different people who already kind of know each other and are easy joking with. We know where the lines are.
Yeah.
He has no idea where those are yet.
He doesn't.
And he's like trying to be overly like, I'm just joking. I'm like, yeah, I know you're joking.
Yeah, we know.
It doesn't bother me. He
messaged him. He gets worried at least once a week that I'm mad at him. I'm like, do you know how busy I am? I barely have read the group chat, bro.
There's things I put in there. I'm like, if I want Chris to see this, I'm either have to tag him, or I send it to him directly, because he's not going to see it.
I see 50% of what goes on in our co-host chat, which is kind of like our writer's room.
He'll message me and be like, "Does Dear Leader like me? Do you know?" And I'll be like, "Dude, you're reading the same thing I am." Like, it's just, it is what it is. It's not like we have this massive dialogue behind the scenes going on.
I have like 5 major projects going on, including my day job, and it's just like, man, I don't have time to like or dislike you. You're cool. Keep going.
Yeah, my only thing is that he's a little bit Taddish. You know what I'm saying? I've got enough to deal with Tad.
He's right, libertarian. He makes no bones.
No, he did send me a message. He goes, "I will never fight with Dennis again." And I go, I haven't been watching the group chat, so just don't do that if you can't handle it. But
I don't pull punches.
I was looking forward to talking.
And part of it is I should identify and say, okay, maybe Dale, I should do a lighter on him. Me and Tad, we just go hard at each other, and I have no problem with that. He doesn't seem to have a problem with it. We're able to hang out in the same room together and still be cool. But we do get at it pretty hard, and I enjoy that type of back and forth. But I also know that not a lot of people can handle it. A lot of people take it personally. And
well, you and I had like a back and forth where I was like, "Dude, do not talk to me like that. Like, I thought I was your friend." And you're like, "I am your friend. This is how I talk to my friends."
Yeah,
And I'm just
doesn't
like,
mean I'm not your friend. I'm going to tell you what I think. If I didn't like you, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't tell you anything. I would just give you some blow off and go on my way.
Yeah, I think like Tad, Reinhold, even myself to some extent, you're just kind of like, I'm not mad. Why do you think I'm mad? Like, I just don't agree with you.
I just think you're horribly stupid about this one thing.
You're
doesn't mean I'm
you're
mad
misinformed.
At you.
The deep sigh gif is getting old when I talk and you just don't like what I have to say, and I see the deep sigh gif. I'm just like, I'm done.
Now, Hodey, we'll make this a bonus episode. Give me your final thoughts. So sum up your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts in this episode of Dear Leader Heals his co-hosts.
Here's the worst thing about this whole controversy is that I'm looking forward to what I'm about to do more than ever. I went to John and Kim's wedding, and it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
He hates being called John, so it's funny. But
You mean
Johnny
Rocket?
Rocket
Yes.
and Kim Ruff's wedding was awesome. And I cut loose, and without even touting myself much, I was the biggest personality at the party. Like, and
honestly, fuck Johnny Rocket for inviting you and not me.
It's so we were having such a, I don't know why that is, Chris. I can't tell you.
Well, you're not anarchist.
I'm also east of the Mississippi.
So we were just like, and I had a good time to let my personality go. And they're like, why don't you do this more often on the show? Like, you are a robot on the show. And I know I'm a robot on the show because I believe in the message and I try to get that forward. It's not really a nervousness. It's security. Right. I just say, hey, I'm secure making my script and writing it out and reading it and whatever it may be. And they're like, dude, you need to cut loose because this is hilarious. Like, asking how many like surgeries Ben Letter's gone under is hilarious. And it's funny that you can make that and you can't make that to his face in the debates. And so I say, yeah, I mean, I guess. And they're like, well, you should be doing that instead. And so I got some technological know-how from my buddies over at the Enemy of the State Podstash. And they're like, hey, look, you can set this up so that it looks like a news organization thing. And I've been playing around with those tools. And so my look is going to revamp. I found out how to override the thing and go on Facebook Live and do all that without having to pay somebody thousands of dollars, which is awesome. So I'll be able to get my stuff live on the Weird Libertarians main page. Mm-hmm. And that'll get some great reach. I'm still working on trying to get the Facebook Live interactions to show up while we're talking, but even if I can't figure that out,
OBS is a fun thing where you can have all these different plugins and you can create your layout and your screen and your overlays. And I've spent years doing gaming on Twitch and stuff, and that's a big deal there. It's how you kind of learn by trial by fire and getting those working.
Yeah, so I'm excited for the future. I'm just not excited for my immediate future. I'm not excited to deal with this right now because I've got the great things on the horizon. I'm really cutting loose with my personality. I'm really feeling it. I'm really loving the shows that Dale and I are doing weekly. We've got some great, I know I've linked a couple of them in the chat, but really great feedback, even just personally saying like, hey, I'm going through that problem right now. And it's not politics. It's just talking culture and personal betterment, and I'm loving it. And I'm a novice. Dale's a connoisseur of all these podcasts and books, and I'm just a novice. But it's been awesome to talk to him and really applying some of those to my personal life to make that a lot better. So I know that's a long way to go for my final thoughts, but I don't know. We might I might kick Ben Letter off the show. We'll see how I feel.
Just do whatever you want.
Yeah, I'll do what I want. And then maybe I'll just chicken out the last second. Said Chris said no.
Just get him to insult you or do something to you.
That's the benefit of like not having your. I can be the bad guy. You're more than welcome to use me as the bad guy because frankly, I don't care what Ben Letter or anybody else thinks of me at this point. We have had 1 million downloads in the last year. We've had 955,000. So almost 1 million. If I added up all the network shows, which I feel is kind of, it's probably commensurate because, Hodey, you've been a big part of that. Dennis, Sarah Brady Wagner, Paul Copeland, now Dale. But, some of those dailies are starting to get 4,000 downloads. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a huge, huge reach. Like that puts... the main show gets 8,000 to 10,000, and then the daily gets about half of that. Mm-hmm. But that's still.
And why is that, guys? Listen to the dailies too. They're short. They're good information. Pick them up and listen to them.
Yeah, but still, that's a significant amount of audience and a significant amount of downloads. And yeah, things are clicking, and you're doing a great job, Hodey. I love everything that you're doing. I really do appreciate you. I don't tell you enough how much I appreciate all the work that you do. Mm-hmm. If there's, and I say this publicly, if there's anything you ever need from me, then you have it. I will give it to you. accept my love, my sexual love.
He does the amount of work that I would like to do, but I can't.
I will accept and
time or
reciprocate.
Yes.
So
You
we'll rely on him.
accept my emotional love, but my penis I will keep to myself.
Rats.
Yeah, but Hodey, you do a great job, and I really have I have appreciated so much how much work you do, and you have a bright future here at We Are Libertarians, and I just appreciate all the hard work that you put in. You work, just as hard as I do at this. Some weeks harder, and I really do thank you for everything that you do.
This is your annual review, right? So I just want you to know you have to send your
I
rate
can
form
stop
in.
recording.
Make sure you sign the evaluation.
Hodey is the only A+ employee that We Are Libertarians has. I want you to know that. Everybody needs to hear that, including you, Dennis.
Everybody needs to step it up.
Right.
Now, hold on. Sam Schultz, that guy.
Oh, you're right.
Okay,
You're right.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Sam,
Dude.
even more than you, Sam saves my ass more than
Yeah.
anybody else because I have had probably the busiest year. The last 3 months have probably been the busiest of my professional career. And the only reason that we've had any shows of substance in any way, shape, or form is because of Sam Schultz. So, yes, two of you. Good call, Hodey. Thank you.
See,
So
he even
happy.
came through and
Always
helped you out in making sure you got the right people.
I thank Sam.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to hit stop on this, and then we'll get started.
What
Okay, go to the restroom.
The